Miss Ford, I have a question. You hear from Tupac lately?
My addiction is not one of the cool addictions like sex addiction.
You are nothing but an illegitimate bastard.
All right, how tall are you on that? So when I was in the 3rd grade, my former elementary school mother decided that it would be a great idea for us to homeschool. And she had these grand ideas of us traveling the country, having this mother-daughter bonding, adventuring, all of this. It was wonderful. It sounded like something out of a story. Only problem is, I have a little brother who was 5 at the time. She had a husband, life, being an adult. So that didn't really happen. The other problem was I fucking hated being homeschooled. I'm sorry, Mom. I love you. It was the worst. So it ended up me just playing with the neighbor, her doing her thing, us fighting about it every couple days, I'm not gonna do the math work, No, it didn't work. So a couple months in, she decides that I need a project to focus me, make this whole year seem somewhat productive. We can, tell my grandparents that I'm actually doing things and learning things. So she decides that we are gonna raise chickens. She decides this in October. You get the chickens when they're 2 days old. And it snows in North Carolina, and it's cold in North Carolina, so the chickens ended up being house pets because you can't put baby chickens outside in October. So I loved it. My brother and I loved it. We'd walk around with chickens on top of our heads. It was better than having a dog. It was great. They would come when we called them. They pooped all over my dad's shit. He hated it. It was hilarious. So we love it. So we get through winter. The chickens have grown up, and these are big ass. They're this big. I've never seen a chicken that big. But it's springtime. It's warm outside, so we put the chickens outside. And we're a little bit worried because the neighbors have this dog named Eli, and Eli is a 70-pound hunting dog. And Eli will bring down big deer and coyotes Eli, and he's the sweetest dog, but Eli is a hunting dog. And we have just given him 4 fat literal table-fed chickens. So we're a little worried, but we put up this huge electric fence, and we're okay, let's just see what happens, and it's fine. And Eli goes after the chickens a couple times, but he gets his nose shocked really badly, and he eventually learns to just kind of stay away. Well, a couple months later, the electric fence dies. And my wonderful mother, being the hippie, crunchy, all-natural animal lover that she is, cannot bear to put these chickens into any type of enclosement now that they have tasted freedom. She was adamant that these chickens would know what was happening. They have tasted the wild, they have run all over our property. It is cruel to put them in another fence. We have to let the chickens be. So we're okay, that's fine. We live in the middle of the woods, it's whatever. Nobody's gonna care if we have chickens running all over everything. But there's Eli. So it's maybe 2-3 days after the chickens have been released, and we're standing on our front porch, and my mom has this beautiful garden with humongous rosemary bushes, and the chickens really like to nest in the rosemary bushes, and the bushes are so big that you can't see the chickens unless you're really standing over them. So we're standing on the front porch, and one of the chickens is nestled inside of this rosemary bush, chilling, whatever, and Eli comes walking up because he, just comes and hangs out. And Eli doesn't realize that there's a chicken, and the chicken doesn't realize that there's Eli until they're about a foot apart, at which point the chicken flips, bursts out of this rosemary bush, wings flapping, squawking. I've never heard a chicken this loud, and this is a big chicken. Eli goes straight up. And his paws start going so fast, and he's going in circles, and he looks like Wile E. Coyote, and I swear we're in a Bugs Bunny cartoon, and he's freaking out, and he's trying to run, but he's going too fast to get any kind of traction, and so he's freaking out, and the chicken's freaking out more, and they're just they're right next to each other and trying to get apart, and Eli finally gets his footing and takes off, making the most pathetic whimpering noises. And we're just standing there, what? The chicken is still here. What? And we realize Eli thinks the chickens are electric, not the fence. So naturally, it became my brother and I's favorite pastime to pick up the chickens and call Eli and throw the chickens at him and watch this whole thing go again. And he'd jump up in the air and his paws would go. It never got old, and he never got less scared of the chickens. So 2 things came out of this situation. 1, Eli never touched our chickens. Our chickens were the happiest, safest birds possible. And 2, I've been in public school for the rest of my life. Thank you.